Okay, my screen visible? Hello.
Not it, Nayal.
Mm. Let me know now. I just switch my network.
Yes, now your screen is visible.
Okay. So last week we have seen installation part, then some of the settings like user creation, plugins management, how we can install the plugins and how we can create the job. So today we will see some of the other topics where the master slave architecture, which is the real-time cases, everyone use this scenario. Then we can two-way we can see how we can add the slave as a slave nodes. There are two methods that we see today. One is SSH based and one is other one is some of the commands agent based. And apart from these are the interview questions. The difference you might get the questions. Webhook integration, I didn't get chance to configure, but I will keep this for tomorrow. Okay. So anyone use Jenkins before any projects or any past experience or just heard the name like Jenkins is CI/CD tool? Siddharth, Rohit, you also not work on Jenkins or any other projects?
I didn't work on project, but I have knowledge on Jenkins.
So personally, you have done practice.
Yes, yes, I personally I did practice.
Okay. So the requirement basically use cases behind this master slave architecture in the real time cases. So if you do personal practice, so definitely we will not configure the master slave architecture. We just create one Jenkins master single servers and we can do our pipeline setups and deployment for any sample projects. But in the real time cases, we may have a multiple pipelines configured, multiple environments. Okay, some of the application might be on the Windows base, some of them might be on the Linux based Node.js, React.js, Java something. So in that case, instead of putting all the workload on the single master servers, so we can configure the multiple nodes, which is we can consider as a slave nodes. Okay, so parallelly, because there are certain limitations when we execute pipelines parallelly, because it's completely based on your CPU configuration and the memory. Because if you run at 10 to 20 pipelines at a single time parallelly, so that might be use case failure cases like a pipeline got stuck or any performance degradation like that. So to avoid or something sometimes like that, if let's say your master might crash, Jenkins master servers. So to avoid this kind of things, we can configure the number of nodes on the as a slave nodes. So as a setting side, like we don't need to install completely Jenkins on the slave nodes. We just need to only Java based package because Jenkins is based on the Java applications. So that is the reason we need to install only Java on the slave nodes. Only the settings and the pipeline configuration we need to perform on the master servers. But when we configure the free jobs, we can give the labels of the slave servers. I will show you that how we can put the labels, how we can use that labels into the pipeline. Okay. So the idea behind this to reduce the load on the master servers, and we can, let's say you have a .NET based any application, so you can use Windows based slave node here. Then run multiple environments from the different slave nodes. You can configure different parallel jobs for the different nodes. And definitely this is just a to handle the concurrent multiple builds.
Namdev, this not able to understand. Run the multiple nodes in the environment from the different slave nodes and handle the multiple concurrent builds. So, what is meaning by that?
Run multiple environments from different slave nodes, which means if you have a in the real-time project, you might have a different project there, well, let's say if we consider environment wise, let's say dev, test and production environment. Similar way, you might have a different projects you are handling. Let's say you are working for the e-commerce project, some might be a other project as well. If you are working for the larger industry, enterprise organization. So to we cannot at a time build every pipelines on the single master servers. So for that, we can add different means Windows based, Linux based slave nodes you can add, and you can configure the jobs based on your environments for the different slave nodes. Let's say you have a Linux one server as a slave node. So you can configure as a parallel job, four jobs for that servers, one server, and another four jobs pipeline basically you can configure on the different slave nodes. So instead of putting all the uh, loads on the single nodes, you can just divide that. Let's say four jobs should be run from the slave one, and another four jobs should be run on the another second slave nodes, like that.
Okay, understand. And what about the multiple
Concurrent,
concurrent
concurrent,
build?
na. So as I said, there are some limitation like resource base. If you configure the 100 jobs on the single server, that might be a performance degradation or any pipeline stuck. So in that case, if you add multiple slave nodes, as I said, you can run multiple environments, different on the slave. So you can configure this and you can run multiple parallel jobs at a time because they are running from the different slave nodes, not from the masters. So that is the benefit.
Okay,
So in this case, the role of the master servers is we configure the jobs on the master server only, not the slave servers. But the settings to execute that jobs from the slave nodes, that is only one settings in that configuration, which is we need to give the label base. Okay. Then we can monitor as well the slave node goes any offline or any failure cases, and it will get all the records, the artifacts basically. It will store the artifacts because whatever the builds we configured in the pipeline. So when we did builds, so we can store one artifacts, which is your actual code of the actual code, application code. So if you need that code, you can simply download that artifacts for any purpose. Like if you want to check what deployment I'm just deploying, so that you can check from that as well. Jenkins artifacts. So master servers we already configured last time, and you also have some of the done the practice. So now today we have a master ready here. Okay. So we can just add the slave servers here. Slave adding the slave server process, as I said, there are two methods. We can go first method now. Like we just need to create the one servers as a Ubuntu base, and we can install the only Java there. Okay. And some commands are there. This is a one step, like option one. This is key base. This is option two. version 2. So first we will see this jar based agent. So let me quickly launch one EC2 instance here. So Rohit, have you done this practicals as a personal master slave?
Yes, I had slave nodes.
Okay. So which method you use?
Uh, by SSH key agents.
Okay. Okay, these are the yesterday's I just created for this setup. Let me quickly launch one more. Let's say 3 Ubuntu. Okay. So how is your working plan for Monday? It's a holiday for the election or the what? वोटिंगची सुट्टी नाही दिली का?
नाही.
नाही सुट्टी नाही वोटिंगची.
वोटिंग करू नका म्हणते का कंपनी?
एक तास जाऊन या म्हणतं ते.
अच्छा. आमचं आज वर्किंग ठेवलंय, मंडेला ऑफ दिलंय.
अच्छा.
Okay, the server is ready now. So we can use both method, either private IP or public IP. So it's up to you if you want to, because if you use private IP, which is good. Let me try this public one. So first we can connect the servers. Your SSH key. Under connection data, you can add the username as well. So every time you don't need to add username. Okay. So as usual, we can just update it. apt get update. And then we can just install the Java. Anyone in your reference, anyone, any friend circles who has Kubernetes certified and interested in the training? Because I just received one requirement from the Hyderabad. They need trainer for the ISRO for the 5 days, but the candidate should be CK certified.
My environment, multiple persons are there. He is the Kubernetes certified, but they are not entertaining like that.
Okay. Okay. The Java has been installed. So now you can go to Jenkins now and simply go to manage Jenkins
Manage.
nodes. You can see these are the existing servers, existing slave node. We can simply click on new node and configure here like Jenkins slave 3. Click on this permanent agent and next. Here we need to give the number of executors means how much parallel jobs you want to configure. If you are using a larger server like C4 something, you can give 5, 6 or 8 something. Okay, so just for now I'm just giving 4 because the pipeline will generate some load on the server. So based on your server configuration, you can just decide. Remote directory means where this job get uh, trigger, sorry, run on the slave server, but they will generate some configuration files like remoting or workspace. So that path we can give. So this path should be created on the your slave servers. Okay, so we will go with that. Label. This is the
This
important one. Why
this path
is
is a means this path is mandatory, or we can configure another one also.
you can configure anyone like where the
Okay.
whatever you want to give. It's optional.
Okay.
Label is important which label you want to give for the slave servers. Like I'm giving Jenkins slave 3 here. Okay, this label name whatever you are putting that should be you can give into the pipeline setup when you configure the jobs in the Jenkins. Usage you can keep as much as possible. So whatever the resource available, he can just take for the pipeline execution. Launch method we can see. I think my voice is echoing. Someone, can you please mute? I think Ben.
They're going to someone. Can you please mute? I think. Okay.
Thank you. So launch method you can use, as I said, you can use either SSH base or by connecting the controller. So let me show you that controller way. And this property, if you want to configure, you can just select or I can just keep for now and just click on save. So you can see Jenkins slave 3. So we need to run these commands. Either you can run from the Jenkins master server or from the slave as well. Okay. So let me run one by one. Let me try from the slave servers. Okay. Package has been downloaded, jar file. Let me copy this file in Notepad. Otherwise, it will get take the space unnecessary. So don't use secrets for every slave server because it's randomly generated when you set up or add the servers. Okay. Just completely copy it and just execute. Okay, you will see the all the status here, and finally it should be connected. Now if I go to Jenkins master here, let me check. You can see the other command as well, like from for Windows you can run like this or other things. I can go back to nodes. So Jenkins slave 3, you can see check difference in sync. and also you will get the options like checking the free disk space as well. Okay, so in sync means the server has been connected properly. Okay, in the master. So now if I want to configure job for this, even you can get this here as well, the status. This is for the built-in node, your slave servers and slave server 3, which we just configured now. Okay, so now if you want to set up the jobs, let's say for this I have created, you can go into the configure option. Here by default you will get this option like this. You need to enable this, restrict where this project can be run. Okay, and here you need to give the proper label which we have given for that node, Jenkins slave 3, if you remember. Okay, so it will automatically pop up here. If you add any extra space or any name, so it will not work. So just copy name properly without any space. Otherwise it will give the error or pipeline might fail. And then simply rest of the things remaining like you are just cloning the your repository in the Git as a source code management. Git credentials I have already configured. If you don't know how to configure this Git credentials, you can just simply click on this add, go to your Jenkins credentials provider, and here you can add your Jenkins credentials. Sorry, GitHub credentials, username and password. Okay, so I have selected here already. And for now, because I have not set up any real-time project, I just executing the single command only. Java check, just checking the Java version. Okay, and just click on apply and save. So now if I execute this build now, so this job will run on your slave servers, which you have recently added. You can see the status. It's failed. So let me check this error. If you click on that particular build number, you will see all the status here. So in the even the real time cases, you can see like this, like what if any job fail during the deployment. So you can just click on that particular build number and you can see the log like this. Okay. Just 1 minute. Yeah. So you can see the error like couldn't find any revision to build, verify the repository and branch configured for this jobs failure. Okay. So let me go back, go to configure. If I check my GitHub repository, let me check which one I use. See this one. Okay, by default is a main branch there. Let me change this main. Let me build it now again. This is just a sample of freestyle project, okay? Pipeline, not the declarative. So in the real time, you might get the question on the declarative pipeline. Both way, freestyle and
Yeah, this is a
declarative.
freestyle, na?
Ha, this is the freestyle, yes. So declarative pipeline we can see when we do the advanced level configuration. So you can see now the pipeline got success because the branch name was mismatched. In real-time cases, we normally configure the Jenkins file declarative pipeline where we can add the multiple stages so that we can cover later. So if I click on this pipeline now, you can see now started by admin user, okay, which is by default user which we have created. Then you can see building remotely on Jenkins slave server 3, okay, where he created automatically workspace in OPT build. You can see like this. We will go there and configure. You can see the flow. He just getting this cloning or this repository and just configuring. And the finally build success. You can see finish success. Okay. If I go to also which we have configured Jenkins version, right? You can see the command here. Jenkins version. Now, if I go to that slave servers, let me create this duplicate session. This is our slave server, which we have added. If I go to OPT build this fold and then let me check the status. You can see workspace automatically created, and inside that, so whatever the configuration we have, like this folder structure in the Jenkins, let's say this is the dashboards by default. We have created dev folder. Inside that we have configured this test slave. Okay. So you can see test slave. If I go inside that, so this is basically just a cloning the repository, because in DevOps course content I have only two files. DevOps course content PDF file and README file. So he will keep like this. You can see. So in interviews, you might get like this kind of question. It's not sure how many candidates facing this issue. Sorry, not issue. Questions like, is there any meaning like this? Any cloud, no raining or something? So if you clear, just make your cursor over there, you will get the details description. And in the configure options, you will get lots of other options. I am just not configured now. Even you can enable this project based security, which last time we have seen for the particular. If you want to give access to any particular users for this pipeline, only this pipeline he can configure trigger. So that also we can give from here. Okay, just click on add user and give the username. Last time we have created demo user, if you remember, and whatever the permission you want to give, you can just check here, like credentials, configuration, jobs, runs, something. Okay, discard old builds. Okay, so this is just a log rotation, because this build, well, let's say we have configured or build the multiple pipe jobs, it will automatically generate the artifacts and the logs of the build. So at the end of the day, if you don't remove that older builds, let's say you have configured till now 50 builds, so unnecessary it will consume the disk space on your servers, Jenkins servers. So that we can avoid unnecessary. Okay, so for that you can option enable this option, discard old builds, and you can set up the log rotation. Let's say keep maximum how much builds you want to keep. Let's say 10 builds or 5 builds. So depend on that, you can just set up that. If you're not sure how much build you want to keep, either you can discuss with your tech architect, your project in your projects, so he can guide you how much builds it's required.
नामदेव, यहाँ पे जो है वो बिट जो साइज है वो कितना हो सकता है
Build
पर
size.
हाँ, जो प्रोजेक्ट का साइजिंग है, फॉर एग्जांपल में यहाँ पे अपन ने
Hmm.
जो ये टेस्ट लेव वगैरह बनाया हुआ है, तो उसका मैक्सिममली मिनिमम साइजिंग कितना हो सकता है, क्योंकि
Yeah,
उसी हिसाब से वो
it's depend on your application code, like Java based code or any how much files are there, how much size, like coding size.
ओके।
वो हिसाब
पर
से वो
यहाँ
रहता
पे
है.
जो स्लेव्स के अंदर जो जितने भी सर्वर्स एडेड है, वो सारे के सारे सर्वर्स अपने जहाँ पे एप्लीकेशन अपने को डिप्लॉय करना है उनको ऐड करना है ना?
यस यस, नहीं नहीं, जहाँ पे डिप्लॉय करना नहीं, जस्ट पाइपलाइन एग्जीक्यूशन.
जस्ट पाइपलाइन एग्जीक्यूशंस।
Yeah. Till now
One more
we are
question.
नॉट
till now
अंडरस्टैंडिंग दैट।
no. These slave servers only help to execute your Jenkins jobs, not the actual deployment. टारगेट अभी हमने ऐड किया ही नहीं है, लाइक योर डॉकर सर्वर्स और एनी कुबरनेटिस सर्वर्स, वो हमने भी ऐड किया ही नहीं है. ये जस्ट बेसिक पाइपलाइन एग्जीक्यूट कर रहे हैं हम Jenkins से.
Namdev,
Let's
could you
say,
please explain it once again? I mean, on.
Yeah. So we are till now we just configured the Jenkins
Namdev,
master and
Namdev,
Jenkins lives.
request you to please draw this on the
Yeah,
after
yeah.
that we can get understanding better.
Just give me 1 minute. I will attach my tab from the mouse quickly. Whiteboard. Let's say this is our Jenkins master server. Okay, just 1 minute.
Sorry, Ben. We'll speak in English.
Just 1 minute. I'm just attaching my tab so I can draw properly. Anyone ask anything? I just if I
yes,
miss anything.
yeah, actually, suppose in my environment there are 300 servers. Okay, so
Hmm.
I have to patch them by using the Jenkins. So for each and every server, I need to add the plugins means in a manual way, or is there any kind of automation kind of thing? By using that, we can add 300 plus servers at a time with the Jenkins.
How to add multiple servers?
Yes.
Is that for deployment?
No, no, no. For patching, suppose I have to run the patching job. Okay. And
Hmm.
I do have 300 plus servers. And means, is there any way, is there any way we can add more servers like 300 plus server automation kind of thing, bar, or we need to add manually only?
For that, you need to
Push.
use the Ansible.
Yes, serverless connection should be there first from one server to another, which is from where we are patching. Then yeah, definitely the Ansible we use for that to run that patching activity from the Jenkins because we need to add the Jenkins target server first. Let me draw the diagram
Yes.
here. इन्होंने यहाँ पे भी एडवर्टाइज चालू कर दी क्या? Let's say this is your Jenkins master server where we can add the. Let me draw properly. This is your Jenkins master server where we as a user we need to configure everything like your pipeline setup and your all the activities plugins like that whatever the plugins required. Okay, because Jenkins supports multiple plugins. If any particular developer builds their own plugins, that also you can install there. Last time I have shown that option advanced from the advanced. Then in the real-time cases, we don't use normally Jenkins as a single master servers. We can add the multiple slave nodes. Okay, it might be your Linux or it might be your Windows based on your project, which application you are using, .NET base or Node.js, React.js base. Okay, front end, back end. These are the slave servers. Till now, it's clear all.
Slave server is like just like a from where we can deploy the patches from slave servers or deploy the
Slave
jobs.
slave server is only for the job execution. As let me show you here. Let me go back. Let's say I have created this freestyle job. Okay. So here I don't want this configuration. Okay. So now, so whatever the build or application I want to deploy on my target servers, it might be your Docker servers or any Kubernetes pod or something, whatever, for example. So that this job should run from the your Jenkins master servers only. Okay. And as we seen initially, we don't want to put your all the parallel job should execute from the master servers because it will unnecessarily generate the loads on your master servers. At the end of the things, like it will be performance degradation, so you might get lots of issues there. Or let's say if your Jenkins server crash due to that or something other reason. So to avoid that major workload on the Jenkins master, we add as a, you can say, as a assistant. So let's say I am receiving lots of tasks, but I have already lots of workload, which you can consider as a parallel job execution I need to serve. So to avoid this kind of more and more workload, I can give some of the tasks to my other colleague. So the slave server will work as an assistant for the Jenkins master. So in the pipeline, we configure that settings as we have seen the labeling. So let's say we want to run particular pipeline. So that pipeline will run from the that slave servers, not from the Jenkins master main server. Okay, so it will help to reduce the unnecessary workload on the master servers. That is the working of the slave server. Slave server will only work for your job execution. This is just for the master slave architecture. If I come down, which is not coming. Now let me draw us in the some smaller. This is your Jenkins master. Okay. Behind Jenkins master, you added the multiple slave nodes. Okay. Let's say, for example, this is your Linux slave node. This is your window, and this is your again Linux. Okay. These are the slave servers. So now I have configured the pipeline here on the Jenkins server and add the label as a this job should run from this slave server 1. Okay. And this .NET based application should run on the Windows servers. So in that, as a target, I can add the one more EC2 servers where our actual application is hosting. Let's say your any e-commerce application, your web server. This is the Linux server. This is our actual web server. Okay. So your whatever the code you are trying to deploy, that will not deploy on this slave servers. Slave server is only for the job execution. Okay. So we will see that when we do actual pipeline configuration, like how to deploy any ECS container or any Docker based applications. I have that code ready, but I need to set up pipeline for that. So maybe if I get some times today, so I will configure that and I will show you tomorrow morning session. So in that case, you will
So
get more clear.
So basically, slave server is nothing like nothing but the providing the passwordless connectivity in between the Jenkins and what are the nodes on which we have to run the jobs.
Yeah, passwordless connection because we have added as a agent base, as you have seen the commands and secrets we have added.
Yeah. Okay.
Slave server only assists to Jenkins master servers to execute the jobs on behalf of master servers to reduce the Jenkins master server workload. In let's say you can take any real-time example. Let's say you have multiple team members in your project, and you are
Mhm.
working as a lead. You if you get number of Jira tickets, will you do that only as a single person? No, right? So do you can
Yeah.
hand assign the tickets to multiple resources based on their
Yeah.
skill. Skill means you can consider here as a Linux or Windows. Okay, so it will ultimately help you to reduce your unnecessary workload. This is just
Okay.
a
Got
normal example I am just giving you. So just because if you add more slave servers, if you let's say you have multiple jobs environments in your project, so you can based on that you can add 3 or 4 slave nodes depend on that,
Yeah.
and your
Yeah.
actual code where you configure in the git, okay, as a source code management, that will deploy on your target server, not on the slave servers. Okay, whatever the target server like your EC2 server where we need to add the SSH based servers. I will show you that as well. Don't worry. But target server we need to add in the Jenkins server first as a SSH based authentication, and then this pipeline will trigger after the got success. It will deploy in this your target servers. Let's say you are deploying any sample PHP based application or HTML based application on the EC2 servers, or you might have any Docker container based applications environment or any let's say Kubernetes or something, for example. So I will
Okay.
show you
Okay.
that as
Got it.
well. Yeah.
So purpose of the slave server is just like master server only Jenkins. It will perform the role of that only, but it will just divide the jobs, right? Whatever the alone master server can do, but we are reducing its load, and we are executing the same jobs through slave
From the
servers,
yeah, from
right?
the slave
That is the
servers.
only purpose.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to show that option now. 1 minute. Let me save it. Now, if I just trigger this build again, job. So this is not a complete pipeline here. Just don't confuse on that. This is just a I'm executing the sample dummy file, dummy pipeline, where which is not deploying any application to any target servers. This is just executing on the local Jenkins servers. If I check the status now, this pipeline, you can see. अच्छा ये remove नहीं हुआ क्या? Let me go back. This is removed. Okay, let me refresh once again. If I click on this build number, but this pipeline should not run again on the Jenkins slave server 3 because I just removed from the pipeline configuration. So that is the thing I'm just checking. Let me add any more commands. Let me add here. I can create any sample file like a make dir DevOps folder, for example. Okay. So this command will execute during this pipeline execution on the Jenkins slave servers. Let me
It will
build
be
it now.
created on that whatever your path is given, test dev test live. On that path, it will be created.
No, no, this is a project name.
No,
Like
no, you have given the OPT. Some of the path is given, na. On that
yes, yes,
path,
yes,
it will be
yes,
created the folder only.
yes, yes. So execution, you can see if I go to that slave server, let me check. He created inside that workspace directory, DevOps folder. By default, if we give the specific path here, that will run from there. But I removed this label expression, but still he is deploying from the Jenkins slave servers. So that is the weird thing. If you specify here specifically, then only he will execute from there. But still he's taking from the executing from the slave server. Let me remove this none because this is just a sample pipeline. So we are not building anything. Let me go to that. Let's if you add specifically like /opt build, then run the command touch demo file for DevOps .txt. Okay, these are the some just command to creating the empty file and adding this word into the this file. Okay, text file. If I build it now, okay, let me check. The file has been created. Okay, and the content also got created. So this kind of commands you can execute for any activity. Or what I can do is let me create fresh jobs because still why this job executed from the slave server. Okay, because we are not giving the specific things label. So from where you can identify from here. Okay, Jenkins slave server. Let's say now you till now you can see 1 to 15 build number, right? Because unnecessary we don't want to keep older builds because it will consume the disk space on your Jenkins servers. Because every build he will track the records and artifacts. So how you can delete this old records build number automatically? As I said in the pipeline configuration, you will see this option discard old builds. Enable that and keep the maximum 5 builds. Let's say maximum of 5 builds to keep. Remaining we can delete automatically. Okay, and just apply, save, and if you just trigger now one more time, you can see the status. See the remaining build history he will automatically delete it. If you try to build more now, let's say build more. See, so one build automatically he will remove. So like this you can configure if you get any opportunity in the real project. Because unnecessary keeping older build, it's not a good thing. Like it will unnecessarily consume the space on your Jenkins servers. To configure the new pipeline, let's say I'm going in the this dev folder. Here you can see the new item and you can configure, let's say demo DevOps pipeline. You can select this one pipeline. Okay. If you want to create folder, you have this option. Just click on OK. And here you will get all the other configurations as we have seen.
So freestyle project is just like it will add automatically few necessary plugins, right? We don't need to install it manually. So
Plugins.
yeah, the purpose of a freestyle project is that only, na? It will automatically take the plugins or how it is.
You will get lots of option there like discarding the older builds, project based security. So manually you can just configure a, this is just a manual way. The other way is like a declarative pipeline where you can configure your Jenkins files. I will show you that tomorrow or something. I will get some of the Jenkins file sample,
Mhm.
but
Okay.
this is just a manual things you can just configure whatever the options you can just need. If you want to particular run from the specific slave service, you can enable this option as we have seen. And for now, I will not configure any Git repo here. If you want to configure, you can just enable this option and add the that particular Git repo URL here and credentials. If you don't
Mhm.
have configured any credentials, your GitHub credentials, you can add, click on this add button and go to the Jenkins credentials provider and where you can add your username password and then you will get it here in the list. Okay.
Okay, and instead of freestyle, if we select another other projects which were listed before, uh, before selecting
Please
this one. So
Jenkins
yeah,
files.
what options it will show? It will show some other options. Is it like that?
Yeah, this window you will not come.
Okay.
If
Okay.
I just click on this, let me build it now.
Pratik, can you repeat your question? Didn't understand what.
Yeah, my question was like I didn't get why we are using that freestyle project uh, while creating any pipeline. So my question was like if we don't use freestyle, instead of that we use any other project. So how it will be? What options it will show? Yeah, this one, like pipeline.
Pipeline, multi-configuration,
So
multi-branching,
what
like
is the
this.
purpose of each and every option, and when we use it, and what is the purpose?
Mostly people use declarative pipeline, which is they can write the coding way like Jenkins files. If I search or ask here, so instead of configuring the stage multi-stages on the graphical, so you will get the Jenkins file here. You can just add that in the pipeline. Freestyle project will give you the manual configuration where you will get this option to set up the search here. Just system is working little slow. Let me search here. In the Jenkins file, you can add the multiple stages here. This is the one of the sample file where you add your stage, build, package, all the stage deploy stages. Any Java-based applications or any Docker things, you can just set up like this. So in the freestyle, whatever the things we can configure here the manually. Let's see if I click on pipeline. Somewhere we need to add the Jenkins file. So I will check tomorrow. If you want to delete it, you can see the options here. Delete project something. There are lots of things in the Jenkins actually. If you read more on that, you will get lots of things. Declarative pipeline is mostly used. We configured a freestyle project in the last organization, not the current one, where we use deploy the Lambda function API gateway and other EC2 based deployment for the simple PHP based applications. Any more questions till now? So we can see this second option.
Nothing. Just my query was only that. Not for now, but later, like if we can go through that options as well, you can give bit more insights so that we will get.
Declarative pipeline, no?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, definitely we will see
yes.
because that is the real cases. Okay. Freestyle project rarely someone use in the real time. Mostly people follow the that things declarative pipeline where they can add the multiple stages. So we will see tomorrow or some other sessions where we configure some of the similar to live projects. For SSH base as well, you can just quickly launch simple servers. Jenkins slave, let's say 4. Similar way, you can practice for Windows Server as well, like agent based installation. You can filter the instance status here, like equal to running. Okay. So we can connect to this servers now, just slave server 4. Let me close this. So I have already all the configuration here, like username and private key. I'm just replacing the IP address of this newly created server. Just click on OK. Just apt-get update. If you want to run multiple commands, you can run like this: apt-get update double and percent and your this package installation. So similar way, you can use multiple commands at a time in the Linux.
We are installing this on a slave node, right?
Just the node because Java is required for that. Okay. I'm giving just this path, but you can decide anything like your var lib Jenkins or something. It's up to you. This configuration on the slave servers. Let me add here. Give the Ubuntu permission, otherwise it will give the permission denied error. Okay, let me try before this executing these commands. I want to check will that work or not. Because when I set up these things, I just get the error, this troubleshooting area. So where step by step I added here. But let me check first by just simply installing this Java package and just creating this folder structure and giving the ownership of this Ubuntu. Okay. So now if I go to Jenkins servers, let me copy the slave servers IP here. Manage Jenkins and the nodes. Click on new node, add the name here like Jenkins slave 4. Sorry. You can set the number of executors here, remote directory. Labels you can provide whatever the labels you want to give. Jenkins slave 4. Launch method I can go with this launch agent via SSH. Host you need to give the IP address here. Credentials I don't have credentials now. Okay. So for that you can just click on this Jenkins credentials provider because this is the based on the your SSH private key. Here instead of the username and password you can just select SSH username with the private key. Okay. And ID you can give, let's say Ubuntu. That's 4. Username. This is the actual username, SSH username. Let's say you are selecting Ubuntu, so you can give the Ubuntu as a username. If you select Amazon Linux, you can give the EC2-user here. Private key we can add from here. Just click on add. Here we need to paste that private key, which I have already opened here. So when you can launch any slave servers, you can just download as a PEM file, create as a PEM file. So you can get this proper format RSA key file. Okay. And you can use that. Any doubt in this? How to create this PEM file? We already seen that, right? When we launch the EC2 servers, we can just create the new key pair there and we can give the name. So I have already created, so I just skip that part because we already covered this 2-3 times. Anyone any doubts in this?
No.
I can simply copy it and just paste here. If you during the private key file creation, if you add any password there, so you can just add that password here. Okay. Otherwise, you can skip it and just click on add. So now we need to select that credentials here.
Uh, what is that last option on there? I didn't get. You said
Password. Password. Let's say let me try to generate one key pair. SSH hyphen key gen. Okay. So here we can give the password to secure this private key file. So if you set up like this, then you can add this password to that configuration. Otherwise, you can skip it.
okay.
Okay, it's taking because last time I added to Ubuntu name here. So this one I can take. The host key verification strategy I tried with this, but I got the number of issues there. So after the troubleshooting, I find out that we can just use this option manually trusted key verification setting strategy. Okay. Otherwise, it's I just face the issue like verification failed or something. So I just troubleshoot and just find out the solution. So I can use this manually trusted key verification strategy and just click on save. On this slave 4, just click on that. And you can see the status now. Jenkins slave 4, it's in sync. If I click one more time here, it shows some logs here. Yeah. You can see the agent when we click on the save button during the configuration of this node, it will execute this kind of logs. Like first he will check the authentication, then the final output will be like this. Agent successfully connected and online. If you want to delete this agent like slave node, you can just simply click on this. Okay. If you want to disconnect or mark as offline for the temporary because of any activities, you can just simply click on this. Mark this node temporary offline. So anyone cannot configure the pipeline execution from this slave servers. Any if you have any activities in your project. Build history also you can see here because as of now there are no build history. So you can see it's a blank. Let me try for this build history now. See, this is Jenkins slave server 1. So which you can see the build history, how many jobs executed from this slave server. So you can see like this or any load statistics. So there are a number of options you can just go and explore. So I was created these things I can skip or I can just give as it is notes. So if in future during the year setups, if you get any issue, so you can at least this will help. This one, okay? Or I can say it's refer if you get any SSH based issue. Okay.
Okay, and after executing jobs from slave servers, so
Mhm.
that job history or job logs will be stored on slave server or master Jenkins servers, or is there
Master
any
server.
settings? Okay,
Let me
master
log
server
into
by
the
default.
master servers. Yes.
Mhm.
So in the
Why?
real time cases, master server plays very critical role. So you need to take the backup, regular backup of the Jenkins master server as well. If something goes wrong with the servers or any, if someone deleted the pipelines or something, so at least you can just take the backup. So you can restore in that situation or any hard drive crash or something. So by default, document root is varlib Jenkins for the Jenkins servers. So where you will get this logs folder and job folders.
Okay.
So if someone
So,
asks you in the interview like how to maintain the Jenkins backup, so there
mhm.
are multiple approaches you can just follow. It's depend on up to you. Like either you can just take a regularly backup of this Jenkins folder, varlib Jenkins, and you can store in inside the NS3 bucket or something. Or I think there is backup plugins as well in the Jenkins. If I go back, manage Jenkins plugins, go to available plugins and search backup word here. Let's see. This is backup or restore your Hudson configuration file, periodic backup. Yeah, backup or restore your Jenkins configuration files. So like this, you can just use any plugins to take the daily basis backup, or you can just configure the jobs like where it goes to take the daily basis backup, like writing any simple bash script shell to backup of these folders in the tar.gz or zip folder, and you can upload that folder into any centralized backup server or any S3 bucket. And second approach is, let's say if you configure the Jenkins server on the Docker container. So in that case, instead of giving the default storage path, you can add the additional mount points there. Like you're, let's say you are running the Docker container from these servers. Okay. So you can create any, let's say in the OPT, you can create any backup folder. And when you launch Jenkins servers, you can give that mount path. So whatever the configuration you have done till now in the Jenkins servers, so that will be stored on the secured your local path on the this servers, not in the container. Let's say tomorrow you deleted that container. So if you don't given any mount point, so that will be whatever the configuration you have done, that will be destroyed, right? So in that case, you can use that option as well for the Docker container based Jenkins servers. So let's say your Jenkins server crash, so you can immediately launch new Jenkins server with that local mount path, which you have configured like this OPT or backup folders. So whatever the configuration you have done, that will be securely there. So it will save your lots of configuration time, the efforts like that. So these are the some of the approaches, and if you can search more on that, you might get any additional idea how to take the Jenkins server backups that will be help out in the case of the any troubleshootings or the failure like that.
So that mount point path will be, I think, shared mount point, right? Because if something happens to the server, then we can take that from shared. But I'm talking about NFS mount point, or is
Yeah,
it
if you
like?
have a such kind of
Mhm.
configuration, you can do that as well.
Okay, and generally we have the like other dedicated backup team in the environment, right? Who takes the backup of the server. So this
Yeah,
can be
that is a one more approach. Like in EC2 servers in AWS, you can take entire server backup as well. That is a one more approach option.
yeah. If entire server is Jenkins master server is added, then in that case we can skip that step also, right? If the
Yeah,
backup is
is
okay.
yes. Any one approach you can follow, whichever the feasible.
Okay. On slave server there will be no log stored, right? Like it is only just for executing
Yeah,
the.
I'm just on that to show you. This is under the varlib Jenkins. We are on the master server now. Okay. So let me give the name here. So we cannot confuse. Just let me confirm once again the IP address. This is the Jenkins master server. IP address is private IP address 18.12. Let me verify that 18.12. Okay. Or we can just simply give it a name Jenkins master. If I relaunch this session, I will get that name. Okay. So we are on the Jenkins master now. Let me go to that sudo su. Sorry. where leave Jenkins. This is the default document root where you will see all the configuration files of the Jenkins. Okay. In that you will see two files here, jobs and logs. Let me go to the jobs first. Uh, Dev jobs. We have configured two pipeline there, right? One test was there, but we have deleted builds, and we have two builds now in this dev one. If I go back here and check, this is the folder structure dev. We are in this dev one, and we have a two build history. Okay, so same thing you can confirm from here as well. So we are in this Warlib Jenkins. Inside that you will see those two folders, one for the logs and one for the jobs. If you go into that job folder, you can see the folder structure dev, then jobs, and inside that we have this day one folder structure pipeline, which is this one. Okay, day one, and inside that you will see this build file folder, and we have a two build number, right? One and two. So if you go any one, you can see this build history. If you want to open any log file, you can see your pipeline logs as well. So everything will be stored on the master server. Jenkins slave server will be your just for the execution purpose. And there's one more folder I want to show you. Let's me get back to this log folder. So let me check that folder as well. So I am in the where lib Jenkins logs folder. Okay, we have this. Okay, this is I am just checking first time, like in the, because this we just normally monitor from the console base. So as you have asked this question, so I'm
Slaves,
just
whatever
checking
the
this
slaves are added, that
added.
available in the slaves.
Mm. Can check the slave log as well. Okay, so these same options we can find out in here as well. If I go to manage Jenkins nodes and Jenkins slave one, if I check the log file here, so this is the output. So same output. So we can check either from the Jenkins console or from the command prompt as well. Okay, this is for the Jenkins master. If you go to slave server now, let me exit from here. Let me confirm the IP address of the slave server. 13.13. 13.13. Okay, this is the Jenkins slave server. If I go to that OPT build, remoting logs, I think on this server we have not built any package, right? We have not triggered anything on the slave 4. Let's say this pipeline. Let me add that name here. Just restrict where this project can be run. Add the label Jenkins. You can see list will automatically pop up here. Just click on this slave 4. Just avoid the space. If I build it now. So based on my last project, basically, The thing is, if you have any normal projects where you can easily set up, so you can use freestyle job there. But if you have a, as you said, multi-stage or something that complex one, for that you can use that declarative pipeline to add more stages. But we will do more study on that tomorrow. So we have this build history now from the slave 4 servers. You can see the status. So if I go back now, where sorry, OPT build. So you can see the workspace has been created, and inside that the folder structure and the pipeline name. So in this repo, if I check, so whatever the files available here, that will be cloned on the Jenkins slave servers. So on the master server, so whatever the pipeline we are executing, that log history will be maintained in the master servers, and whatever the code we are actually deploying to any target servers like your web applications or any container base, that application artifacts code will be stored on your Jenkins slave servers. I hope that is clear.
Please repeat it once again. I didn't get.
Okay, let me show you. This is the Jenkins master server. OK, so if anyone are getting the confused, this is Jenkins master server. So if you check where lib Jenkins, and inside the Jenkins we have a folder jobs where your Jenkins master servers are maintaining the log files. Whatever the build history we are executing and the status of the that build logs. OK, that will be present on your Jenkins master server only. And your applications code, which is your source code management applications repository. Let's say you are deploying any applications. So that code, which is in the artifacts format, that will be stored on your Jenkins slave server. In short, application code will be stored on your Jenkins slave servers, and your build history, configurations, files, pipeline configuration file will be stored on your Jenkins master servers. So if you, let's say you tomorrow your Jenkins master server get crash, so if you have a backup, so you can roll out from there quickly. OK, you don't need to worry about the slave servers because slave servers can add anytime or anytime you can remove. Just we need to install the just dependent package like Java based applications. If you are using for the Windows, so you don't need to worry about the code base there. You can just simply install the Java and you can just start using it at the slave servers. You should be careful for the master servers only for taking the backups or something. If you come to this builds folder here and just check build number 3, so you can see build.xml change log file. You can see any of the files log, let's say catalog log file. So you can see the history here, pipeline history. So same thing I can verify from this as well. Graphical as well. OK, if you don't have any graphical access, you can you have option to that check from the command line as well. This is the build number 3. So you can see the status. So two options you have, either console base or you can use command line as well. So Jenkins master will play a role for your hosting, sorry, storing the records of your build history, your configuration files of your pipeline. OK, and slave server will execute your jobs on the behalf of Jenkins master servers. and he will keep your data of the source code. Let's say for this pipeline configuration, you are using this repo, this one, right? Slash DevOps real-time entry questions. If I check the whatever which kind of data available, so you can see there are readme files. So that readme files available will store on the slave servers during the build. Okay. And once we added the target server like your EC2 servers or something, so that will be built on that. So today I will set up that target server here, one of the any sample applications, just hello world, HTML or PHP base. So we can see that as well. So we will get more clear idea how the complete pipeline will run for the target server. Any doubts till now or कोई point है जो समझाने ऐसा कुछ? Actual deployment we will see tomorrow. Like I can add one EC2 servers as a web applications and we can deploy sample hello world there. Any doubts for today?
Please try upload the video, please.
Yes, yes. So there are a few things like Polasium, webhooks built periodically, which you might get the questions definitely. So where that option I can find out, let's say this is your pipeline day one. If you go to this configure options in the freestyle project, you will see that option here. This is just a style of how you want to trigger your pipeline. Okay, as simple as let me check here. Build periodically. This is if you click on this question mark, this is something that is description like. So it's doesn't matter if if developer push any commit or not. Okay, that will not impact anything. If you set up this build periodically, let's say, and if you have set up the schedule cron job here, like build every 5 minutes. So either developer push his code changes to your repository or not, that will not he will not take care. He will execute your complete pipeline based on your configuration. Like if you set up every minutes or any hours, so it will deploy your applications. Okay, but that is not feasible option for your actual web server applications because unnecessary if there are nothing no change in your repository or code, so why you need to deploy this periodically. Okay, this is you can use for like a daily taking any backups. Let's say you want to execute any script for the daily basis, so for that kind of you can use this kind of situation like build periodically. So you can set up like every night you can set up particular build script like taking the backups of any particular folders or servers backups. You can just whatever the scripting you have configured, you can set up in this way, build periodically. So that is the use cases for this. Also, you can just read this description. Polyasium, you can see here. Polyasium. The schedule configuration is same like a cron job kind of way. You can set up like this. You can see the format. Okay. If any developers commit his changes, so he will check whatever the main timing mentioned like every 5 minutes or 10 minutes. So if he detects the changes in your repository or whatever the branch you have mentioned here, okay, whatever the branch you have mentioned here, feature branch or something. So he will check changes. Let's say you have set up for every 5 minutes. Sorry. Star dot. So like this, let's say, for example, If you set like this, so he will check your branch every 5 minutes. Okay, if he detects any new commits added by the developers, so he will start triggering the pipeline. Okay, otherwise, if you don't detect any changes, new commits in the Git, so he will not run your build pipeline. This you can use for a dev environment purpose, like because unnecessary go and go to the Jenkins servers and just trigger the pipeline manually. So that to avoid that kind of situation, you can just configure this Polasium. So every 5 minutes, it will automatically check your code changes. If any developers push his changes as a code commit, so he will detect and he can just start your pipeline automatically. Okay. And webhooks, which is most of the use cases people use in the real time webhook integration. I have note that point as a to do. So I will see if I am able to configure till now tomorrow. I will definitely try because I am working today in the office. So I will set up this everything, okay? And I will show you tomorrow. So real time people use webhook integration where it will work as a real time, and we can configure the rules in the webhook integration where it will automatically detect the changes and real time manner, and he will start the your trigger the pipeline. Anyone try in any environment webhook integration?
No.